So where to begin? Oh yeah, with you guys. You tell me, what did you think? When I say what did you think, I'm not asking you to like and subscribe to my channel or anything. What I'm saying is, what are your questions that you came out of the videos with for this? Because you weren't able to ask questions in class. Other people might have, but that wasn't you. So what questions do you have for the specific material? How about, did it at least make sense afterwards why I had you do all those things together?
What did you mean by that?
Like for the Hitler thing. Was anyone like,
What
why the hell is he having us?
was going in my mind? Like, what's going on here?
So did it make, you're supposed to struggle through that stuff. Did you guys see how it worked, or did you guys have problems with it? Maybe some of the stuff that was covered was actually, you're like, actually, that didn't make sense. What about this variable that you didn't think about?
I think it's slowly it was like a transition from one thing of like being obedience from the experiment, but it was also I think it was the video for Savage, like with the song and everything. It's also how you're like surrounded by people who cause you to be the way you are. So it was like a connection to each, but they were all like different examples, but they still kind of like intertwined. So like I slowly was just like, okay, this makes sense. Or I was able to see something out of them and kind of make like a little, I don't know, transition from one to the other, but it was still a connection there.
Yeah, good. Yeah, it didn't have to be the connection that I made in class. I'm glad you figured some connection out there. I mean, there's plenty of applications. It didn't just have to be where I went with it. And there's a lot of stuff that when I was editing that video, I was like, oh man, I didn't cover this or this. I touched on this, but it wasn't like fully fleshed out. So, I mean, you could have gone plenty of places with it. And yeah, if it wasn't clear with you guys already, if I ever give you guys that again, it's like a class. So you do the homework first, like the reading and reading response, and then you go and watch the video. That way you're already in the know about the information, and then you can critique what we're covering in class, not just like believe it. You're not supposed to ever just believe anything that's in the video. You're supposed to test it yourself with your own mind, with your own knowledge. You guys get that?
One thing I didn't get though was when you started explaining about the different music,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was kind of wonder like, how does that match up to the 21 Savage?
Oh, are you talking about the Tupac in the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys are younger than me. When I was like in middle school, when I was really just breathing music practically, that was just completely obsessed. That's when I put all those stickers on my guitar. Like for me, like everything that I believed, all my philosophy almost, it seemed, I remember breaking up with a girl using Offspring lyrics. Like I literally handed her a piece of paper, like a letter that I wrote, but it wasn't really my own words. It was just Offspring lyrics. And I remember her even like coming back to me. She's like, what does this mean? I don't understand. Like, what are you saying to me? And then I was like, I'm breaking up with you. That's what I was saying.
Professor,
was that not clear?
That's pretty cringe, Professor.
It's super cringy. Yeah. If I tell you guys stories about myself, it's normally supposed to like incriminate me and make me like look like crap. If that wasn't clear enough, right? But yeah, good. I'm glad you saw that as cringy. Like if you don't see it as cringy, then I'm worried about your perspective in life. Yeah. So good call, man.
It was kind of like I felt like it was kind of weird out.
Yeah. Well, so what I tried to do there was I was trying to show you that even the music that I loved, that I still even love in a way today, like I still listen to it. I still play like Santeria on my guitar, even though when I think about the lyrics, I'm just like, crap, this is so horrible. Because you guys get it, right? He's like, yeah, I'm going to find love, but I'm still going to go get revenge and kill this guy. And then, you know, you guys saw that, right? In the lyrics, it's pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
Like you think he's like grown in the song. You're like, oh, he's figured things out. And then by the end, you're like, oh, nope, he didn't figure it out. He's actually worse. He's worse than he was before. So like the whole idea of that stuff being so influential for me, trying to show you that even if it's a song that you love, you should be willing to look at it with a different perspective. Like, yeah, even though I really love this song, I work out to it or whatever it is, I should still be able to look at it and be like, yeah, the philosophy in it, it's teaching me something bad. So word of warning is don't pick a song that you love. It took me years to be able to get to that point, to like leave the music behind for like a decade and then come back to it, to be able to step back from it, to really be able to analyze it if you love it. If you love it, the chances of you being able to look at it objectively are going to be very bad. Like, I've had so many students that they're like, oh no, I can totally do this. If you come out thinking that like Charlie Puth songs are like deep, then and that you're like there's something really good in them, then I know that you're not going to do this well. Does that make sense? Like,
Okay.
like if, because I've had students, they're like, oh no, this really is a realistic and a good message song that's like helping spreads. I don't know. My whole point is it's very difficult for students to take the music that they love right now and be able to look at it like, no, this is actually shit. And it doesn't have to be shit. It could be a good song, genuinely good, that you can work with. But the chances of that being true, of it being a popular song, you get how you're only working with popular songs here too, right? It's not like that underground stuff that's like actually deep, because that stuff doesn't get played on the radio. That stuff isn't what wins awards that celebrities dance in the music videos of. Did you see that part where all the girls are dancing to the Maroon 5 song? And you're like, do you know what he's saying though? The girl like you is, if you're that girl, then you're pretty much just getting played. And they're like, oh yeah, this is good stuff. Isn't Adam Levine hot? Like, they're just not even paying attention. And you look at these people as you're like, these are actually influencers, all of them. They're people who are looked up to. They're not just like, you know, no Kardashians are in that video, I don't think, right? So none of those people you watch on a screen to cringe at, is what I'm saying. And yet they were doing something that I found to be quite cringy. But maybe you're like, no, this is different. You have a wrong interpretation of that. And that's fair. You could argue that kind of thing. Like, anything you want to go with, so long as you can make a solid argument for it, it's fine. It doesn't have to be what I saw. Also, you can't use any of the songs that we cover in the class. But hopefully that was already clear. What else?
Oh, so Professor. Oh,
Yeah, go on.
my question is so for synchronous students, this class is mandatory, and then like the RLD notes we should be taking from the videos that we saw.
Yeah, so from those and from right now,
Okay.
if there's anything that we cover that isn't just redundant with what you already covered.
And I have a question also on the RLD notes, like, what's like the recommended length that you want us to
Doesn't matter. I mean, the more concise, the better.
Okay.
So, I mean, sometimes we cover a lot more that you're like, this is like theory or tools that we're using more. Sometimes it's just applying them like over and over in the classes. Like, most of them, it's just going to be trying to apply these very simple tools that are very difficult to get and actually be able to like put into play naturally. So yeah, this one, like maybe all that stuff that we were covering where I'm trying to give you like background or some kind of lens to look through at things. You guys saw that, how that's what we were doing with the whole, like, when you're like nature versus nurture, trying to examine that, you could examine that in almost anything. Or when we're talking about the mimetic theory. Did you guys know that that's what it was called? I didn't say that. The whole subject, model, object thing.
What about what you said? It was like an Indian word.
You mean Latin?
Yeah.
Tabula rasa?
Yeah, there you go. Tabula rasa.
So that would have probably been something that you put in your notes, right? So the concept of, are we a blank slate when we're born? Is there, which is the nature versus nurture thing too, right? Is something innate? Is it something that you were born with? or is it something that you learned over time, that something that was taught to you or ingrained in you? That's like a huge foundational, so many arguments hinge on that. Just anything that we're into, right? Even like sexual, like what we're attracted to, that argument always starts there. Like, what things are we born with? And then what things were taught to us, or something that we learned through mimicking. So that's why I bring that one in there, because you can now use that in almost everything we cover, things like that.
And then since we are still talking about the essay, the article, it said that they were, in the first part, that some wanted to obey and some didn't. And I think in one part of the article, you mentioned, and I read, it said the guy who wanted, the learner who was strapped in, I think.
Yeah.
The learner who was strapped in, and then there was a person who did the experiment.
Sure. What about it?
I felt like I felt kind of weirded out, because, you know, being shocked with the amount of voltage, it reminded me of being shocked with a bubblegum shocker when I was little.
Okay. Well, so you get, they're doing a thing where they're pretty much getting people to torture other people and to see how far they would even go with that. You saw that, right?
Wouldn't they get arrested for that kind of thing?
No, because it's all willful. Like, everyone is on board. They're getting paid to do it, and they can walk away at any point.
So
it's really important to get consent, unless it's a college classroom and I'm using this video footage.
So let's say the experiment is continuing. I'm not saying in the near future, but like if we go back in time to when they did the experiment. I don't know why people would want to, because, you know, it'll, like, watched in a video, would we want to be electrocuted, or how have we felt when we got electrocuted by our heart? Like, what would happen?
Right, it would hurt. I mean, but come on, if someone paid you, I think you would, if they paid you enough, you'd take part in that experiment, right? I would.
I don't even know if I would.
I totally would have. How much did they get paid? Was it $50?
$50, I think.
Yeah, that's a lot back then. That's some good money. So, I mean, for a day, and it was only going to take like an hour of their time, I would totally be down to do that experiment back then. Of course, I don't know what the result would be. Yeah.
Also, Professor, all the next reading responses are going to be due at 9 a.m. on Saturdays.
If they're due on Saturday.
Well,
did you finish the one today?
No, I keep forgetting they're due on Saturday. I keep thinking they're due like tonight instead of.
The annoying thing is that I had to make it so that they're due at different times, right? Tuesday's due midnight, and then Saturday has to be due before class.
Okay.
Could I have made it just due Friday night?
Yeah, I think that'll be way better, because like I'll be able to. I mean, it's the same thing essentially. You're gonna be turning in Friday night. But
okay.
It would remind me that, like, okay, I gotta do it tonight. So.
All right. I'll ask other students. I just hate the idea of like, well, there's my Friday night, because no one wants to do their things ahead of time. That's just
I totally. Yeah, it's just because I don't know.
Hey, you guys picked a Saturday class, which, I mean, you guys all have your reasons. Maybe it's like this was the last one left, and I was late to the registration game.
Honestly, I just chose us out like Forrest Montgomery. He's like, oh, this seems like a chill dude. I was like, I clicked on the name, signed out, let's do it. Yeah.
Right on.
So yeah, would you consider it late if I turned it in like after class today, or it would be?
If you get it in by like 5, I'll take it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
we'll do it. All right, next time will be pretty much before.
All right, I might switch the time to be Friday night. I'm gonna take a poll to see if you guys are all on board with that, because that's obviously giving you guys less time, and I'll just make it so that it's due then. But if you guys need to, I won't really count it late if it's in by like 9 a.m. the next day or something.
Okay, for sure.
which
Yeah.
sounds really dumb. I don't know.
No, but it'll help me a lot because I can see it's like
All right.
11:59. So okay, do tonight. Yeah.
Okay, we'll see. Then
Yeah.
I'll try that out. Yeah, because you got to do the stuff before class. Otherwise, then
For sure, yeah.
I'm not talking to anyone who's on the same page with me.
All right.
Any other questions specifically about that material? Because I do want to make sure we get enough time for you guys to like have a really clear understanding of what's required of you. Some of you guys were curious to know about like what the heck was up with the ad analysis.
I kind of analyzed it through like 3 different. I don't know if it's like a viable and like an answer to the essay, but it was like I analyzed it to like ethos, pathos, and logos.
Yeah.
And I used each paragraph to like analyze how it was pathos and how it was ethos and how it was logos.
Yeah, that worked.
Okay.
That should have worked. I didn't read yours yet. I will have all of those read and graded before this essay is due. That way you guys have feedback, because what you'll notice is we're doing the same thing. You're not going to probably go through the logos, pathos, ethos with this one, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're going to have other things to do with it. But
Right.
so long as you made an argument for what they were trying to sell you, that wasn't really something they could sell you, something along those lines, then you should have been good with that. And so what we're seeing here is you're practicing analysis. So I'm sure you guys have done this in other classes, right? This isn't your first English class in college, even, unless you took AP English in high school and skipped. Either way, you've practiced analysis before, but this is me just like making sure you guys are like up to speed with all that stuff, and also giving you tools to work with for the next 3 essays. So that's why these ones are so low stakes, right? That first analysis, that ad analysis assignment was 30 points. And then the first essay is only worth what, like 60 or something? Whereas all the other essays are worth much more. So the reason for that is to make sure, because not everyone starts at the same place, but I'm trying to get you guys up to the same place as each other to be able to like operate at, so that you're not, when the points actually do count, that they really start impacting your grade, you guys are all with it at that point. So you guys got the tools, but now we're also seeing the concepts. So you're practicing the tools twice here, but then you're also seeing like people try to sell you stuff, right? Like products, but we're going to look at songs and you're going to realize people are still trying to sell you stuff. What the hell? So it's just, and it's kind of the same stuff they're trying to sell you, even though you're not buying a physical product that you can, use under your arms as deodorant or something. Hopefully you don't.
Like, I remember doing mine, like, I wrote in the article that they were trying to sell body size, and it doesn't even matter.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, good. See, if you're working with that, yeah, you were off to the right start. A lot of people, if they messed up with it, it was because they were trying to sell, like without the other component, you end up just analyzing the ad in a way where you end up selling the ad. Like you sell the product also yourself in your paper. And so if you did that, it means you didn't have the other component in there, because it's all supposed to be, your whole analysis is supposed to work to the point of showing what they're doing that is affecting society. Are there any other questions about the other material?
I wanted to get a better understanding what subversive is.
I spent a lot of time trying to get you, or whatever class, I always try to get the classes to be able to understand those 3 elements of it, but that shouldn't be something that you linger on in your essay. It's something that you should know for yourself, because that will help you interpret the song. But if you go through your essay and make 3 paragraphs that are like, this song's real because of this song's cliche because of this song's subversive because of this, that's not what you're supposed to do here. It's the way that you interpret it, right? They could be sending a bad message or talking about a bad message, but it's complete satire, right? Which is subversive. And then so they're really making the thing look bad. But if you don't catch on that it's subversive, then you end up arguing that they are doing something bad in society instead of actually helping by making the thing that is bad in society look bad or look worse than people think it is. But it really is that bad. Does that make sense?
Kind of.
Okay. So did I share this? I know I put it at the end of the video, but I doubt people actually noticed that this was on the screen. So if you look at it, these are indicators. Like this is literally pasted onto the screen, on the ending screen for like the last 5 seconds, I think, of the 50-minute video where we practice them. So in this, you should be able to clarify for yourself through comparing these definitions, or not definitions, but ways of looking at it, right? These are indicators of what is real. Remember in the Ed Sheeran song, he says stuff that's embarrassing, and so you know it's honest. It's more confessional rather than trying to cover things up and make you, like, rather than being boastful, it's being honest. Do you guys see that? Like the difference between what is real and cliche in that effect?
So we just choose any of those that we think best fits into the.
Well, you're pretty much diagnosing the song first. Like, so you want to know the message of the song, but you also want to know which of these categories it fits into. Because let's say the message sounds like it's promoting men treating women like crap, but then you realize that it's subversive. Now you know that it's pointing to the problem with men treating women like crap. Do you get that, Anton?
I think so, a little bit.
Yeah. So we'll practice a little bit more. I want to get you guys in groups, and we don't have much time left. So do you guys have any other questions before I put you in groups?
A question regarding subversive. It's not necessarily like negatively, or is it only negative in the sense that if they're trying to go against this, like a social theme, like a song, it's not always going to be negative, right? It's just going to overthrow that.
Yeah, it's always overthrowing something.
Overthrowing. Okay,
yeah,
got it.
Exactly. All right, there are your instructions. If you want to take a screenshot of those, I'm going to put you guys in randomized groups. So you're going to go on to week 3 at the bottom of that. And so in your groups, there are 6 songs in here. The 2 songs at the top, I guess I should talk to you guys about that first. So here's an example of 2 contrasting songs. So we've got Hero, which in the video we talked about is super cliche. So just looking at the lyrics, you guys should all know this even though it came out before you were born. Just in the chorus we're talking about here. I can be your hero, baby. I can kiss away the pain. I will stand by you forever. You can take my breath away. Pretty unrealistic lyrics in the sense of he's pretty much promising something that is not possible. And we already know his motives. It's pretty, like, how many guys say this kind of crap? I would take a bullet for you, right? I would die for you, babe. Yeah. All right. So in the song Ride by 21 Pilots, there's in the second verse, I believe this is, they have this other lyric. So in contrast, you guys tell me what you think about this. I'm going to read it, and then you guys just tell me. We're going to do this together, then we're going to go in groups and do it. I die for you. That's easy to say. We all have a list of people that we would take a bullet for them, a bullet for you, a bullet for everybody in this room. But I don't see too many bullets coming through. See many bullets coming through. Metaphorically, I'm the man, but literally, I don't know what I'd do. I'd live for you, and that's hard to do, even harder to say when you know it's not true, even harder to write when you know that tonight there are people back home which are talking to you, but then you ignore them still. All these questions, they're forming, like, who would you live for, who would you die for, and would you ever kill? Oh, I'm falling, so I'm taking my time on the ride. What do you guys think in comparison?
Pretty emo.
It is pretty emo, but what's the meaning?
Like dying for somebody.
Wait, aren't we supposed to discuss in the groups?
Nope. No, you have
Oh,
a
okay,
different
okay.
song in the group.
Oh, okay.
Um,
The second song seems more realistic in a sense.
It does. Right. Questioning the whole idea, right? That thing that guys claim. You say you die for someone, but when's that going to happen? Will you wash the dishes for them? Like every night? Even when they don't ask? Even when you cook dinner? I mean,
Subversive.
so it could be. So you could argue either. You could argue that this is subversive or real. But you guys see, right? And we didn't really go into the details because that was the evidence that I pointed to first. So now I'm going to throw you guys into groups, and you guys are going to look at a specific song with your group. Also, if you can assess that the people in your group are not serial killers, then you can exchange contact information. Yes? How'd you guys do?
It was a little bit tricky, but we were able to find out what was the message behind it.
Okay, good. What song did your group have? And which group were you actually? You were group 2? What was the message for your group? Well, only one person has to talk for your group, but it has to be quick because I still have to go over some more stuff. I see that this was a little more rushed than I wanted it to be. My bad.
Like Lost in Another World.
Okay, which song?
Adore You by Harry Styles.
Okay. That's what you guys got out of that? It was Lost in Another World?
I mean, that's what I got out of it. But
Frederick, where are you at?
Yeah, here.
What's the message?
It's like very cliche, I'll say,
Okay.
for the song lyrics.
That's a
And
good assessment.
reading it, it's like it's very like not realistic, and it's also historically that this song's like serves like purpose of like a person's relationship that he's
Okay.
dreaming of with someone.
What is the way he looks at the person? What are some indicators here of like you didn't have very many lyrics to work with, so apparently he thinks he can do all kinds of things. This is pretty intense, I gotta say.
it is actually.
Sounds pretty hairy to me. You guys like his name? That was dumb. That's pretty dumb.
Yeah.
You don't have to say you love me. Come on, tell me in the lyrics.
Walk in your rainbow paradise. Strawberry lipstick state of mind.
Okay, yeah. What is that?
I feel like he just walked into a dream where he sees a beautiful girl.
Well, you could call it a dream. You could call it a delusion too. It's up to you. You're not giving me enough with this yet.
So what I thought was just he romanticizes the idea of like falling head over heels for this girl, like actually like falling in love for her, like losing it. And his reality kind of comes like more like into a paradise where he just loses himself and this girl and the thought of like being in love with her, that he would do like to the craziest thing just to prove this, where it says I'd walk through fire for you, like
Yeah.
do you want more proof that I love you? I'm like, okay, I'll walk through fire for you, like that type of sense.
Sure. What is it that he loves about her? Is that evident at all in this song?
Well, it just says it not really. It does point out like her lipstick, but it doesn't say like. It just says a state of mind. I'm assuming like a type of like color in that sense that he's losing himself.
Yeah.
But it just says it's on her eyes.
So eyes, we get eyes. We've got brown skin, I see later on.
And lemons.
Yeah. So there's that. So is he in love with her or just
The idea.
her?
Oh, okay. I want to see her because I'm like the only description of her body. It's just like her skin and her eyes, but it doesn't go in. I don't know, more detail like other songs would.
Right. So this one has a lot of interpretation, a lot of license you need to use on it because there's a lot that is unsaid. But by talking about the things that he does refer to, that shows what is the most important to him. So I think you could use a song like this without having to really stretch with it. So the idea of stretching, you guys, you get that it's like going like this, right? If nothing's really there, then you are just kind of making something out of it. But this song, I think there's enough to work with here. A lot of songs, there isn't. So word of warning, don't pick a song that has very little in it. Also, don't pick a song like Eminem. I think I talked about that in the videos where like he covers so many things and you're like, is there one message? Not really, just that he's crazy and wants you to think he's crazy. Anyone else? Okay, before we do that, because I want to make sure we cover all the ground, then we're going to come back to these until the end. I just want to make sure that you guys fully understand what you're doing. So in the prompt video that you guys watched, when I discussed that with that class, it was an in-class essay. You guys get that, right? Did you guys see that at all? So I'm talking about like just writing a 3-paragraph essay. This doesn't have to be that. If you have 4 paragraphs, that's fine. Just understand, so for these first 2 essays, it's fine if they end up being like formatted like a 5-paragraph essay. The difference between this and a high school 5-paragraph essay is that you're not just like listing the things that you're going to cover in the paragraphs, and the body paragraphs aren't just kind of like standalone arguments. They are arguments that it's like you're building a cohesive argument. So like the first paragraph leads into the next one and into the next one so that you make a full argument using 3 paragraphs at the least, but you're not like, they're not just these isolated events. And then on top of that, your thesis statement isn't like a listing of your evidence. It is your reasoning for like what's happening. Does that make sense? I feel like I touched on that a bit in the notes that I put on Canvas for the ad analysis.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, like, basically for the paragraphs, like what you basically just said in the notes, like the questions, like what's the message, cliche, da da da, persuasive, whatever. That could be like a paragraph question that we address in each paragraph.
So
Maybe like we format it like that.
Like these right here, right on the screen.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
You shouldn't go over a different message each paragraph. Like imagine this is all pretty much, okay, so your thesis would be everything in here should be in your thesis except for this one. You get it? And then and then each body paragraph, you are proving these things, those 3 things, with this stuff. You're developing.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So your first paragraph doesn't have to necessarily touch all the bases of those things, but it should be like building foundation towards your argument. Maybe you touch a little bit on what's encouraged in society in each paragraph, but maybe that only really fully comes out in your last paragraph. Does that make sense?
Yeah, so basically if we wanted to like choose a verse, and then that would be like our evidence that we address in each paragraph. Each paragraph is like different evidence that we build off of.
It could just be one word in a verse though. It could be one word, like the way that he uses it, like with the Bruno Mars song, Lucky for You, that's what I like. Right? Just that one thing. Why did he refer to it like that? Lucky for you. You know, that changes, that shows you his perspective on the matter. So it could be that, or like you said, it could be like the whole, like you're paraphrasing what is in a verse. Like the whole verse is maybe portraying a perspective or something that is in the message. So one paragraph, your evidence could be an entire verse. Another paragraph could be just one line in the verse. So just remember, if you've got a full verse that you're trying to cover in the paragraph, that means paraphrase. That does not mean quote it, right? Because that's too much to quote.
Yeah.
No block quotes. Was that clear? Or did no one see? Okay, good.
There is one thing I'm getting confused about.
Yeah? What's up?
It's about writing more of the paragraphs, let's say 1, 2, and 3.
Mm-hmm.
It can be any of the verses from the song that I chose. that I
Yeah,
said.
wherever you find your evidence. So in the videos you guys saw when we went over the thrift shop song, all the evidence that I used was in one verse. You don't have to cover the whole song. Just know that if there's other information in the song that changes the meaning of the song, then yeah, you don't want to only look exclusively at the one paragraph. But if all your evidence for the message comes out of one verse, that's fine. You don't have to spread it around. You just need to find and utilize that. So remember, like, your evidence, you want to be able to explain it as concisely as possible, because you've got a lot of argument to make. If your whole entire essay just ends up being you summarizing it, if your essay just sounds like a Genius video where the artist is trying to interpret their own work, I watched a couple of those, they all suck. The artists don't even know how to actually interpret their work. By the time they come back to it, they're like, I don't know what this was about. And yet people live by it. So like, there's some smart artists too, and they don't really explain it on Genius. So don't even try to do that. Like, you are trying to explain something else. You're not just what they think they meant. You're explaining a message that they actually are putting out there, regardless of if they meant to or not. Another thing that's important to note before we go on. So the specific requirements, you'll notice on the prompt that it says, so rubric at the bottom, this is just something that I use to, I normally check mark it, but I don't think I can do that for this. So notice here though, on these overall requirements. So needs to be 2.5 pages at least, no less than 600 words. So you're gonna have if you're doing this right, you're gonna have a hard time making it under 2.5 pages, because think about all the things you're having to do with this. Also, it's okay to mention that the song is subversive or realistic or cliche or whatever, but you should not beat that into the ground. That's just how you're pointing to how we need to interpret it and how you are interpreting it. So like, you could even mention it in your thesis statement, but it doesn't have to be like an entire paragraph of how you prove that it's cliche. Your whole entire focus is supposed to be trying to show what message is being encouraged in society. And then this is just a way that helps you and your reader know how to interpret the message. Does that make sense?
What the message is behind the song?
Well, yeah, what the message is behind the song, which this will help you make sure you know what it is. So the other thing, make sure you turn it in as a PDF or a Word doc. I had a problem with that before with one of the students, but they figured it out. And so we're good now. So you guys all should be clear on that. I can't actually leave you notes unless you do it like that, which you want the notes, trust me. Oh, and then Canvas. Let me show you it on Canvas really quick. So you have to pick your choices. All right, so on Canvas, if you go home, you have to pick your songs. This is super important, and it's the same thing as with the ads. So under week 3 at the very bottom, no, that was just the exercise, so you don't even have to look at that again. If you can't figure out a song that you want to use, you can go here, and there's a list of just a bunch of top 40 songs from the last several years, from 2017 on, if you want to look through those, because you're just stumped, because you're like, I don't listen to mainstream music, which is good. It's good that you don't. But for this, you're only using mainstream music. So now you have to find a song that works for you. So here's a list of them. You don't have to use songs off this list, but you do need to find a song that is super popular. So think like 100 million views on YouTube, because Ed Sheeran gets that overnight. So yeah, even if it has like 20 million views, that's still not enough. Maybe 50 million views. I'll let you do a song with 50 million views. So now that's where you can find that resource. But what you're going to want to do is you're going to go to claimed songs. So this is how you claim your songs. So you've got, depending on which class you're in. So you go to, this is synchronous, so we'll click on that. And so here's the description of how to claim your song. First come, first serve again, right? So there's that. You put it down there. If someone's already picked one of the songs that you want, so you're going to pick 3 songs, but you're only going to use one for your essay, but you want to have 3 to really think about. So you pick them. If you're like, crap, I don't want this, I want this other song, but I already picked 3, then relinquish one of them, and you can write it in, and then that way someone else can take that song. It'll be up for grabs. So that should make sense to you, because we did that, this practically the same thing with the ads. and you guys did that well last time. Then you go into week 4. So your reading response this week is to analyze just a short paragraph for each song. Well, a paragraph for each song. It's important that you do both parts though. You're going to write your own thing, and then you're going to comment on other people's thing. And this is where it's important. Don't just be like, wow, I really like the way that you interpreted that song. Like, nitpick people's ideas, because if you don't do that, and if someone doesn't do that for you, you might miss something in the song. Does that make sense? I've had a student analyze a song and he missed this one lyric that totally changes the entire meaning of the song. Don't do that. And also make sure that your idea of it isn't like he's entering a dream world. Don't be vague with your claim. If you can't say that a philosophy or an ideology is being pushed on society, then you pick a different song. Don't use that song. What is being pushed? If you can't figure it out, that's not the song for you. Make sense? Cool. So you guys can go now if you want, but I will stick around. If you really want to talk about the song that I forced you to try to analyze in 5 minutes, that's fine. I will stick around as long as you want, but otherwise you guys can go on your merry way and pick your songs frantically so that no one else gets the song that you really wanted. But yeah, I'll stick around. So any other questions, but feel free to leave if you'd like. Well, that was it.